Yeah, welcome in. Welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast. Got a pretty interesting show for you here today. LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and something that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But before we get to that, if you're here on YouTube and you haven't already, you know what time it is. Please go ahead, click that subscribe, that like, that notification bell, and make sure you're kept aware whenever we drop new content on the channel. If you want the audio-only version of the podcast, open up your audio podcast platform, type in The Format Podcast. We should come right up. You can subscribe right there. And if you're enjoying the content, please make sure you give us that like, that 5-star review, and drop a comment. All that stuff helps us rise in the algorithm, helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. And of course, make sure you make a note of it, write it down, put it in your phone, set an alarm, 7 p.m. Saturday night. We got the Format Podcast live. And if we got enough traffic in the room, you'll have the opportunity to call in and talk to me directly. So definitely looking forward to that. Now, let's get right to it, man. LeBron James, we know what LeBron James is all about. We know what he represents to the game of basketball. We know who he is. We know that he's had an all-time great career, and we know that he's doing things, as we're constantly reminded by the mainstream basketball media, that we have never seen before in year 21. He is setting record after record. He is clearly going to retire top 10 in 3 major statistical categories. The only player that retired in more was obviously the great Hakeem Olajuwon, who retired top 10 in 4 statistical categories. But LeBron is widely regarded. Many people have him in their top 5. Many people have him top 2 overall. A lot of people have him as the GOAT, but overwhelmingly, Michael Jordan still holds that title. Now, that may change as some of the old guard, their voices grow silent and they eventually, pass away or move away from this. And now you're seeing many of the younger people who regard LeBron James as the GOAT being rising up to being the prominent voices in mainstream sports media, etc. But for right now, and even among NBA players, I think it's 58% of them still have Michael Jordan as the greatest player of all time. So regardless of that, LeBron, as you saw, is absolutely incredible, has been for a long time, and still is 21 years into his amazing career. And recently, last year, we saw him break the all-time scoring record, which was incredible. We thought that would have never been broken. And this year, we saw him eclipse the 40,000 point mark, which no one has ever done in NBA history. Again, absolutely phenomenal. Now, the guy who held that record before, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, one of the greatest players of all time. This is a guy who many people argue has the greatest basketball legacy ever. I believe 6-time MVP, 6-time champion, top 10 in block shots. And the scary thing is, for the first 5 years of his career, I believe they weren't even counting block shots. Number 2 scorer all time. He's got 3 NCAA championships, and it would have been 4 if freshmen were allowed to play varsity back then. He never played for the Olympic team, so there's that. But overall, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar pretty much has an impeccable resume. Now, it's funny, LeBron was 4-6 in the NBA Finals. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar 6-4. But where I'm going with this is interesting. So we know that LeBron James has a ton of people who are pushing for him to be regarded as the greatest basketball player of all time, and that's cool, no problem. And one of the things that you hear more nowadays is, well, he's the greatest scorer of all time, so that's got to make him the GOAT. Okay. And he's got 40,000 plus points, so that's got to make him the GOAT. Okay, cool. So my question would be this, and this is something I just randomly thought about earlier today while I was trying to come up with some different content ideas, and I got some other stuff in the boiler that'll be coming out later in the week, etc. But the point is, I thought about that and I said, wait a minute, all these same people, these LeBron fans who are screaming that LeBron became the GOAT when he, for sure, I guess, because they were saying he was the GOAT before, but they said that he was cemented as the GOAT when he passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for first all time in scoring, and then again when he got the 40,000 points. My question now becomes, as great as LeBron's basketball legacy is, and clearly there's some chinks in that, why weren't I hearing you scream that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was the GOAT when he was the all-time leading scorer? Wait. Hold on, wait, what? So Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in 1984 broke the all-time scoring record held by the great Wilt Chamberlain, who arguably is an even greater scorer than LeBron James, and he only played for 14 years. But hey, why let the facts get in the way, right? Let's carry on with the whole longevity argument. But the point I'm trying to make here is we talk about these different stats, and LeBron James, you can clearly see one of the things he is really doing is pushing as hard as he can in terms of longevity to get these stats to where they kind of can't be argued, because I don't think that he believes he'll win another championship. So if he has the stats to back it up, that's a further argument in his GOAT narrative. But to me, it's actually funny. It's doing the opposite. The mere fact that he has to do all of this to try and push this GOAT argument says to me that clearly he's not the GOAT, and he knows he's not. But this is not even about Michael Jordan. This is about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Again, this is one of the greatest players of all time, one of the most impeccable resumes in terms of accomplishments, one of the most impeccable resumes in terms of statistical achievement, one of the most impeccable resumes in terms of winning, right? He's got it all. I think 19-time All-Star. Obviously, LeBron James is a 20-time All-Star, so he broke that record. Second all-time in scoring, as I mentioned, top 10 in blocks. And again, that scary thing about the blocks, man, first 5 years of his career, they weren't even counting that. So we have no idea how many blocks Wilt Chamberlain and the great Bill Russell had. And quick side note on Bill Russell. This is something else I thought was interesting. We always hear about Kareem having the greatest basketball career resume of all time. But can we really argue that? Because they always talk about how Kareem was, for the longest time, he was the most highly recruited high school player. I don't think he lost a game in high school, so he was dominant there. Won 4 championships there, won 3 championships in college, won 6 championships in the NBA, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Now, the great Mr. Russell, and this is interesting, I don't know why no one brings this up, he's got an argument against Kareem when it comes to the winning, because he won 2 state championships in high school, then he won 2 championships in college. He won a gold medal in the Olympics, the 1956 Olympics in Sydney. United States men's basketball won a gold medal, so there's that. And then, of course, there's the 11 championships in 13 years with the Boston Celtics. So, I mean, he doesn't have the individual statistical accomplishments in terms of points. However, he was a better rebounder in his career. He's second all-time in highest rebounding average, just at 22. And I think Wilt is at like 22 and a half. But he was an absolutely dominant rebounder. And so, just something to think about. But anyway, back to the LeBron and Kareem thing. It's just so interesting to me that the same people who are banging the drum and screaming that because LeBron broke the all-time scoring record, that he's the greatest player of all time. I didn't hear any of those people saying that Kareem was the greatest player of all time when he held that record. And he's on the absolute opposite, the flip side of finals achievement, 6-4 versus 4-6. It's so amazing to me how the LeBron fans always find a way to just gloss over the losing in the finals. How do we do that? We just gloss over the fact that he has more finals losses than any other MVP in history. How do we do that? It doesn't make any sense to me, but just something to think about. Again, this is not taking a shot at LeBron, and this is something I heard today. Listening to some other content. Shout out Mel, shout out Man Down Podcast. Great show. If you love basketball and you run a really good in-depth look, not necessarily X's and O's, but you get some of that with that show, as well as a lot of critical thinking on the topics at hand. Check out the Man Down Sports Podcast. My main man Mel, he's been on this show as well. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is listening to his show, it was presented to me, and I hadn't really thought about this before. It was presented to me that when it comes to LeBron, a lot of times people who don't worship LeBron are called haters, but people don't really hate LeBron. Any animus they have towards LeBron comes from his fan base, because his fan base is so utterly obnoxious. I mean, that's what it is. It's kind of like the Dallas Cowboys fan base. Like Stephen A. Smith says, he doesn't really hate the Cowboys. He hates their disgusting, nauseating fan base. And it's wild. I've talked about this before. When it comes to the LeBron James fan base, it's like their brains turn to mush and they completely turn off. Logic doesn't work. Objectivity doesn't work. Consistency doesn't work. It's like when it comes to LeBron, the same things that you'll knock one player for, you'll prop up LeBron for. It doesn't make any sense. And I think That's why they get so up in arms when anybody talks about LeBron, because it's not about him, it's about them. But anyway, I just wanted to touch bases with this and say that it was real interesting to me that when it comes to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, none of the LeBron fans ever were saying that he was the GOAT when he's done so much more in his career than LeBron James has. But as soon as LeBron James passed him in the all-time points scored category, they were yelling that LeBron is now the GOAT. Something to think about. So what I want to know from you, leave your comments in the comment section. Does that make any sense to you? Where were the LeBron James fans when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar still had the scoring record? Why is it different now that LeBron has it? Please leave your comments in the comment section. Can't wait to hear from you. Can't wait to get back to you. And also make sure you don't forget 7 o'clock Saturday evening, the live shows. Let's go ahead and get those numbers up and get people in the shows. And you can reach out to me directly if you think I'm an idiot and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I can't wait to hear that. Call in, debate me. Let's get it. All right, I'm out. Peace.